second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Motion carried. Recognition of visitors and comments from the audience. Anybody like to come and say, oh, Mr. Steele, perfect timing.
Good evening.
You're on. You're up. Oh, are there any visitors that would like to speak this evening? Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. Presentation this evening regarding middle school softball and baseball.
All right, John.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. Just wanted to come and talk a little bit about the opportunity to potentially create 2 new programs for Brown County Schools under the athletic department. It's something that Mr. Steele and Mrs. Callahan and I have been talking about for a little while, and I think it'll benefit our students and our programs. So we currently don't have school-sponsored baseball or softball programs. Everything's been ran either through our Parks and Rec or as a club program, kind of like a hybrid program, somewhat school affiliated, somewhat not school affiliated. So this is basically our proposal to try to bring middle school baseball and softball under the umbrella of the athletic department, where we have full control over it. Get more involvement from our head high school coaches, those types of things. So just a few things I wanted to run through tonight for you to think about and consider. Kind of what we are proposing is 1 head coach per program to get it started. That stipend amount is consistent with our other middle school head coaching stipends. Hopefully these programs take off. We know we have lots of interest already. So if numbers warrant an assistant coach for each program, we would also keep that assistant coaching position consistent with our other middle school assistant coaches as well. So those are where those 2 numbers come from. We're saying approximately 16 games per sport. That's just me thinking an 8-week season with 2 games a week. That's a rough estimate. That's pretty typical middle school scheduling for just about any sport. We don't try to overload them with more than 2 games a week unless we have to, which basketball is experiencing right now because of the weather. But roughly 16 games per sport. One of the good things is our new conference. We're going back to the Mid-Hoosier Conference. All of those schools already have middle school baseball and softball programs, and all of those schools have already said that they would be interested in going ahead and scheduling with us. So we'll be able to build a schedule pretty quickly. Additionally, Coach Doss has been heavily involved with the club program previously for softball. He's got a lot of contacts with other schools that we've played in the past. So I don't think building a schedule is going to be any problem whatsoever to get to that number of games. We would use Eagle Park, use both of our diamonds at Eagle Park. We would just be strategic with how we schedule it. Obviously, if the high school has a game at home, maybe the middle school's on the road that night or vice versa. And then also being strategic with practice times, or maybe there's an opportunity where sometimes our middle school kids could practice jointly with the high school every once in a while to kind of align the programs as well. But we would just be strategic with that scheduling and use Eagle Park as our facility. Really rough timeline here, but if you were to approve this, we would look at getting workouts started pretty much as quickly as we can. Early March, ideally, if we can get approval. Official practice start, just roughly March 23rd is the Monday we come back from spring break. That seems like a really easy time to start official practice for this group when we come back from spring break, with games starting in April and basically running through the end of the school year. So that's kind of where that 8-week season comes in. Any questions about any of this?
Are you gonna be one team 6 through 8?
Yeah, great question. I reached out to some of the other schools because a lot of the schools in the new conference are junior, senior high, so they're 7 through 12. But they do allow 6th graders to play on their middle school softball and baseball teams. And they said they would have no problem with us having 6th graders play because we're a 6th grade building.
So it would ultimately be one team and you've got all 3 grades?
Potentially, if numbers are high, we might have more than one team. But ideally, we'll have one team. But I know in past years they've had
We've had an A and B team.
an A and a B team in the softball club. So,
Okay.
And they're all, both softball and baseball are in the spring?
correct.
Okay,
Correct.
but they have different fields, I guess, right? Because they have different distances and things, okay, so,
Correct.
so the women are playing on one side, and the men are playing over here, and then they're sharing with the high school men's and women's, okay?
Correct.
Got it.
Why are we proposing this now? Some of this has come out of our athletic ambassador group. There's been a huge push to create more programs. How can we make our programs better? Strengthening our middle school programs. So this seems like a logical step in that direction to expand our programming, especially when the interest is there. The spring season at the middle school currently is actually pretty light with sport offerings. Really, the only two sports that we offer are track and field and then girls tennis at the middle school. Whereas in the fall, we offer volleyball, cross country, football, and boys tennis. So we have a lot more offerings in the fall than we do in the spring. So this is kind of leveling up the offerings in the spring to equal the fall, give kids more opportunities as well. It's just going to strengthen our baseball and softball programs at the high school level. The interest is there. And so just by bringing it into the school, expanding the opportunities, getting our high school coaches more involved, it's just going to strengthen those programs and help build numbers at the high school level. I know this year, high school softball, we're hoping, it looks like right now we're going to have enough to have a JV team, and we want to be able to keep that up in the future. We want baseball to be able to have a JV team, so this is just going to help strengthen those numbers. And really, I think what makes it the easiest transition is that both of these programs have been operating the last few years as club programs. So it makes for an easy transition into a school-sponsored sport. It's not like we're just starting completely from scratch. There's interest there. There's somewhat of a structure there. And so it just makes for a smooth transition to bring it under the umbrella of the school.
Is club the same as travel teams, or is that different?
It's kind of like a hodgepodge of,
Okay.
it's just basically putting kids together. Usually it's a parent that steps up and coaches, and they just have a team so that the kids get an opportunity to play, and
Okay.
they just find other schools or teams that will play them.
Okay.
So this is a lot more,
Unofficial.
yeah, this is a lot more official, a lot more structured. So, 2 slides is all I have. I tried to keep it as short and as informational as possible, but I will entertain any questions.
I don't think Parks and Rec offers this age either, is that right? Or do they have a?
Yeah, they offer a program, but it's, everything I've heard is that parents and students are wanting more.
Yeah, they do a tri-county, and at the age group, it starts to get limited, because you get a lot of kids going to travel,
Yeah.
other middle schools, other things, so that this age group starts to limit down at the Parks and Rec level.
Okay. So, have you talked to them? Obviously, this would probably impact whatever program they do have.
Yeah, I think it would be no different than our other programming we run, in terms of, we run school basketball at the same time they run Parks and Rec basketball, so just working with them and trying to keep a good relationship. They know that we're wanting to expand our programming, and the goal of this is not to eliminate Parks and Rec by any means, it's just to expand on what we offer.
Yeah, we will, tonight's just a presentation. We would, I will put a recommendation on the February 16th board agenda to approve both programs. We didn't want to present something to you and then ask you to vote on it just after hearing the presentation. So I would like to recommend for February 16th.
I was just also gonna say, my understanding of students we knew who did travel programs is that they can be really expensive. So when you say we're gonna be doing this within our conference, they're not gonna have to travel very far, and then not have some of those extra costs, and it looks like you're gonna do at least part of the uniform so there's not gonna be a cost issue here.
Yeah, we're hoping to make costs minimal. We have, the athletic department's got a healthy balance right now, and so we feel like we can do this without putting a huge burden on families or on the department.
Well, plus with school, more kids can try out, where if you have, if the parents have to take them places, a lot of parents with working, they
Yeah.
can't, you know, so something with school, at least they would ride a bus or,
Yes, yeah, the
Yeah,
transportation
so-
will be
yes,
huge.
yeah, it would
It's
help,
huge.
you know, the kids could play and then it would help the parents
And
too.
then the time frame also wouldn't keep them from doing both. I mean, they could do,
We've had both,
Right.
we've had some do both. In the past years, and I can tell you, because my kids have been in travel as well, and depending on the travel team, can run anywhere $600-700 to $3,000, it just depends on per kid. In the last couple of years, we've ran club. Last year was a little more, because we had 20-some games, and we paid the umpires, so it was around 85-90 if they did not already have a jersey, and so that was included in the jersey, and that was per player. Just to break that down, that was paying all of our umps,
Wow.
everything.
I've heard those higher numbers, so. Plus hotels and travel, you know,
Yeah, and in
that's
this
big.
instance, we kept it local to the local schools, so.
That's good, okay. Well, I think it's great, because I know when I taught at the junior high, like, there was a whole lot of kids, you know, you got this big, you got all these younger kids who are playing baseball and softball, and then, yeah, and it kinda goes private, so.
Yeah.
It's great. Any other questions for Doc?
Yes, Josh, I think this is a wonderful idea. Anytime that we can bring younger kids into sports or anything. What's the future of soccer?
It's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something we'll have to look at and consider, but
I'm just curious. I mean,
yeah, I would say soccer has not operated even as a club
Right.
through the school yet. So I think that would be step one for soccer.
I was just curious, because we're gonna have an ice field.
It's true.
Well, and my kids would've, I mean, they did Parks and Rec soccer through 8th grade, and then they were really disappointed. At 9th grade, it wasn't offered anymore, but they also were playing another sport in the fall, so they couldn't play soccer anymore.
Mhm.
And now one of them plays soccer 2 or 3 times a week as an adult, so, you know, I really would've loved that.
I'm just curious.
Gentlemen, we really appreciate this.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's great.
Thank you. Appreciate your consideration.
Chad, thanks for being here too. It just shows that you support.
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm gonna actually go and finish on practice. Thank you.
Out in the snow, maybe,
Now they go to the village and
Next item, discussion items, still none. The approval of the minutes from January 20th, 2026. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Any abstention? Motion carried. Next on the agenda is the action items, and we'll start off with the recommendations for the following ECA positions for the 25-26 school year at Brown County High School. As presented, starting with the academic social studies, Alicia Adams, through Thespian Honor Society, Danya Hunter. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation?
I had a question first.
Well, no, I guess we need
Discussion,
to
sorry.
do discussion.
Is this the academic teams? They used it, because that's, I couldn't figure out what academic meant.
Yes.
And then I just read it and I thought, oh, these are the fall or the spring teams that they usually compete. Okay. That's what I thought.
Any other discussion?
I will make a motion to approve.
It's been moved in a second.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the recommendations that ECA. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Motion carried. The next is a recommendation to approve the following donation from Art to Remember in the amount of $399.16, which will go to Spernica Art account. Is there a motion to accept this donation?
I'll second.
been moved and seconded to approve the donation from Archer Number. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions? Motion carried. Next is a recommendation to approve the updated BCS wellness policy. Is there a motion to accept that?
I say we must.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor of accepting? I don't think there was a second. Oh, I said discussion.
Yeah, I really read in depth with this part of the policy, obviously, because I did that job, in depth, and I feel like it's a good, well done, covering all the bases in kids and then 18 in a row and stuff, so I appreciate how that was done.
Yeah, thank you, and really, I was going, I'll say it again and again in my update, but, Holly Gordon has worked really hard, with the wellness committee, and it just feels like it's been a piece that's been missing, since Holly was here the first time with us. And so she's really just picked it up, and helped bringing it back together and alive, and, so just excited for the future of where it goes, and some of the things, we're talking about focusing on, just feels good, so, yeah. Thank you.
Go Holly.
Is there anything you'd like to elaborate on there?
Oh my gosh, no. Thank you.
It's not gonna be so English,
Oh my gosh, I can't. I'm too nervous.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the updated, Brown County School, wellness policy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions? Motion carried. The next, and I'm not gonna read all the policies by name, but starting with recommendation to approve the second reading and adoption of the following Neola board policies, starting with P02410, the revised policy audio, video, and digital recording meetings through P04122, the replacement policy of non-discrimination and equal opportunity employment policy. Is there a motion to approve those policies?
I so moved.
And I'll second with a comment, again, the care of students with diabetes and care of students with chronic health condition, I deeply appreciate how well that was written.
Actually, that leads into legislative update, because there's actually a bill about that. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the Neola policies. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions? Motion carried. Moving on to the consent agenda items. We do this a lot.
Yeah, you'll start with the separation.
We'll start with the separations of EEC custodian Katie Underwood, effective February 6th, 2026, through Brown County Middle School, right, girls tennis coach Madeline Furlow, effective February 2nd, 2026. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions? Motion carried. There are no transfers this evening. That pulls us into the superintendent's report.
Yeah, I will make it brief tonight. Again, I just want to reiterate, thank you to Holly Gordon for her leadership with the wellness committee and getting people together around a table to talk about and think deeply about wellness across the district for our kids and our staff. So thank you for all of your work on that. I also want to thank Josh on the work with the middle school softball and baseball potential programs. I think you've just done a really great job at taking data and narrative and comments and questions from athletic ambassadors and using data to put some things in place for our kids. And so I just really appreciate you always finding opportunities. And again, we will take that recommendation to the board on February 16th. Spertica held their invention convention convention, and had 10 finalists, that will participate in the state event. So, Mrs. Magner continues to do a really, really incredible job. So just really excited for those kids. I believe that state competition is in March, so we will look forward to that. Want to wish the girls basketball good luck. They have their sectional tomorrow. I believe they play Switzerland County. So wishing them all the good vibes. And that's all I have for tonight.
The band?
The band.
Oh, the band.
Mhm.
I don't have specific details
They
on the band.
Won first in ISMA. Yeah, they got a gold. And I don't know if it looked like it was individual students. It was a separate competition that's groups. The picture looked like it was,
But I know they came home with the gold.
yeah, cool. It's great. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you. Next legislative update, Amy?
This is week 5 of an 8-week session, so things are moving very fast. I've said that before, but it's really crazy fast. Last week, actually last Thursday, all the bills had to be out of the Senate by Thursday, and I just looked online. The House is still debating one of these bills right now. Probably go on for a while still. But anyway, they're finished today, and if a bill has not passed its original House by either Thursday or today, then it is officially dead. So that's how we get rid of like 1,000 bills. And then we can narrow it down and only focus on a few others, which is actually kind of nice to sort of do that. And so these are a couple of the significant bills that are related to schooling that have been, I think, mostly passed. And I'm just going to go over those. I had mentioned the cell phone bill a couple of times, and I just looked it up. It did pass through the Senate. It's Senate Bill SB 78, and it passed 28-19 out of the Senate. So it'll be going over to the House. It'll go to probably the Education Committee, and it'll go through the whole process again. So we'll see what happens there. There are a couple of big deregulation bills. That's been very popular. And some of those are really great for schools because sometimes they're doing multiple reportings of the same information. So in theory, that's supposed to make Debbie's job a lot easier, for one, all of our administrative staff. But sometimes then they will, these are also gigantic bills full of very dense language. So it's kind of hard to figure out what is actually in there. But what ISBA has identified out of one of the House priority bills called 1004 is that there was some information about diabetic students that they took out. They were, I don't know what it actually was, but then they have put it back in because you can deregulate, and then you realize, oh, we shouldn't have done that. That's what it sounds like to me. Anyway, it relates to the administration of meds for diabetic students. And it sounds like it actually adds training for teachers and health aides who need to deal with diabetic students. So may have added something there. It also has something related to taking out a bond for curricular materials. And so we were like, I read that and I thought, oh, well, we sometimes have trouble paying for curricular materials. They have now modified that in an amendment that says it is only for the technology for curricular materials. It's not for the actual books and programs. So I thought that was going to help you, Debbie, but I don't think it is. But those could still change. So that passed 67-26, which is almost on a party line vote, and it will go over to the Senate now. Another bill is, it was just on for today, and I was listening up until about 4 o'clock. I don't think it got heard yet before then. It was HB 1086, and that is the 10 Commandments bill. It is a House bill, as I said, 1086, and it originally said that it required the 10 Commandments to be in every classroom and library of a school, and a durable version of it. And it has now been modified and amended to say that it has moved from a must to a may, meaning that it is optional if the principal and the teacher decide they want to do it. However, it says that the teacher cannot read it. And it does say it still must be in the school library. So that's where that bill is right now, and I anticipate it passed this evening, but I don't know. Another one is SB 25, it's a Senate bill, and it was amended in committee, and it was one about school board races, and it indicates how school board candidates will appear on the ballot. And so now that we have the ability to do parties, I understand from the election commission that they didn't know, clerks were asking them, how do I put these names on the ballot? So if I've got Republicans and Democrats and independents and nonpartisans, there's a very specific order in which people are listed, and they didn't know how to do it. So this bill is Senate Bill 25, and ISBA is supporting it, and they say it's just really a technical fix, but it would put the people who are claiming a party at the top. So another one is there is a bill that affects transgender students. It's SB 182. It did pass the Senate 37-8, and it would require transgender students in K-12 schools and state universities. They would have to use a restroom, a locker room, or a changing room that match their biology at birth. So, as I said, that'll move on to the House. The next one is, we talked about a social media bill, is SB 199, and that is a ban that, not a ban necessarily, it would have required parental permission for children under 13 to log on to a social media platform, and then parental permission for ages 13 to 17. And I think that one has not moved on. I think that one has died. Now, it could still come back in some other bill, but that specific bill is not going anymore. There is also a number of, well, let me finish the curriculum bill. There's Senate Bill 88. That is a bill by, that is talking about something called the success sequence that the bill author would like to have is things that we would teach in school. And so the three things that are considered this, I've never heard of this before, called a success sequence, is that schools would specifically teach that that you would finish high school, get additional training for the workforce, and wait until marriage for children. And they believe that would then help kids improve. It did pass pass the Senate 39-9, which is almost party line vote. And it also accredits the classical learning test, that could be used from a classical learning school to be used like an ACT or an SAT to go to college. So that's what's in there, and it'll go to the House. The two charter school related bills, one of them is SB 239, and that would add pathways, additional pathways to convert existing public schools, and I think there's public schools that are active, not buildings, into charter schools. There were a couple of amendments that I think would have made it better that were voted down. There was an amendment to require any conversion of this to be on a ballot for voters to decide, and that was voted down. And also an amendment to better regulate charter schools and to prevent oversaturation in a particular community, and that was also voted down. So that is going to move on to the House, and we'll see where that goes. And then the last bill is one that is sort of important. I talked, I think, last time about South Bend schools and a bill that died also, where they were trying to have appointed school boards and not elected school boards without the permission of the school corporation itself. This one is HB 1423. You're hearing about it on the news because this is the IPS bill, and what it would do is, make sure I say it correctly, but what it would do is it would have, you would still have an elected IPS board, but you would also have a corporation called the Indianapolis Public Education Corporation, IPEC. And that is called a new centralized education authority. And they would provide oversight that is unified between public schools and charter schools under one umbrella, one corporation. So basically, IPS would do curriculum and everyday things, and the operations would be buildings and buses type of things. And what is really happening there, from my perspective, is it is giving them charter schools property taxes, because they're going to be qualified then for the property taxes that IPS would be qualified for. And I guess some of them do already cooperate for busing on their own, because charter schools start with knowing that they will not have property taxes for their buildings and they will not have busing. So you have to take your kid to a charter school, is generally the agreement. But I did hear there are 50 to 60 charter schools in Indianapolis alone, just in IPS. So that is a large number. One of the biggest issues here, again, is the IPS school board would still be elected by the voters, but this corporation would have 9 members on it, and they are all appointed by the mayor of Indianapolis. So there we would have, again, non-elected people who are determining where tax dollars are going to go. And also putting it into charter schools. And again, I think the point for all of us is always that charter schools do not have to tell you where their money's going. There's no transparency. We can't see their books. They don't get audited by State Board of Accounts. And we don't know who is running their schools. They don't have elected boards, and sometimes they're secret boards. So that's certainly for those of us who do what we do on elected boards, we think that's pretty important. So those are some of the provisions of that bill. I just looked, they're arguing it right now, and it's 6:30, so I don't know how late it will go, but I really, if you ever want to, watch anything, all of the committee hearings, all of the floor debates are on the Indiana General Assembly website, actually on the very front page, iga.gov, and you can watch it live or you can watch recordings of those. So if there's a bill you're really looking to see what the debate, some of them have real debates and some of them they don't talk about at all. So there was an immigration bill this morning that was about 4 or 5 hours of testimony.
Do they do closed caption?
Well, I can do closed captioning if I choose to turn it on, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because it's just a regular thing, I would have a hard time trying to understand.
Yeah.
Closed caption, so.
No, I think you can, it does do that, yeah. I turn on closed captioning all the time. So that is, so what happens next is these bills are going to go to their opposite house. I know the Senate, they think even though this bill is just passing the House tonight, and I anticipate it will pass about the IPS schools, that Wednesday there'll be a committee hearing. So it's one of those things, how do you get there to testify if you want to on a bill when you only have 24 hours of notice? So that's been really difficult between that and the snow days and all of that for people to get to do that. Just to remind people, you can contribute to these bills. You don't have to go to the State House to do that. You can email or use regular mail, or you can make phone calls to your representatives because they do count. So even if you don't have a lot to say, you're like, hey, I heard about this bill, I don't like it. You just give them that, you call whatever house it's in and talk to that representative. You talk to the legislative assistant, you say, hey, I'm for or against this bill and here's why. But mostly they're just counting. If they get like 50 phone calls in a day on a particular bill, then they're going to go, something's going on, I probably ought to pay attention to it. So sometimes it is about volume, and we learned that during redistricting as well. So anyway, if anybody has, is concerned about any of those bills and wants to participate, that information is out there. There are also a lot of bill trackers out there now, really pretty common depending on the organization you're looking at. And they follow bills that are important to them. Like I follow Citizens Action Coalition that does environmental, energy, and utility bills. Or the environmental groups will follow the environmental bills. So you can look at those. But that's it for the school bills. Okay. So thank you.
With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
As I do.
We have something to
Second.
sign.
Second.
All those in favor?